In a world where everyone is talking, posting, arguing, explaining, and proving themselves, silence has become rare. And because it is rare, it has become powerful. Stoic philosophers understood something most people never learn. You don't gain power by saying more. You gain power by needing to say less. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not fear. Silence is control. In this video, we will explore why silence gives you strength, confidence, dominance, and emotional mastery, and how Stoic wisdom turns quietness into unshakable power. 1. Most people talk because they are weak. This may sound harsh, but it's true. People talk excessively because they want validation. They want attention. They want approval. They want to feel important. They want to defend their ego. Noise often comes from insecurity. Stoics believe that a calm, silent mind is a strong mind. When someone talks non-stop, they reveal their emotions, their fears, their intentions, their weaknesses. But when you remain silent, you reveal nothing, and that alone gives you leverage. 2. Silence is emotional control. One of the strongest Stoic teachings is this: he who controls his tongue controls his fate. Most people react instantly. They respond when triggered. They explain when misunderstood. They argue when challenged. They defend when accused. Stoics did the opposite. They paused. They observed. They chose silence when emotions were high. Silence creates space between stimulus and response, and in that space, you regain control. 3. Silence makes people respect you. People don't respect those who explain everything. They respect those who speak with purpose, choose their words carefully, remain calm under pressure, don't react emotionally. Silence signals confidence. When you don't rush to speak, people listen more closely when you finally do. Stoics understood that presence is louder than words. A silent person with strong posture and calm energy dominates a room without saying anything. 4. Silence confuses your enemies. When someone tries to provoke you, they expect a reaction: anger, defense, emotion. But silence disrupts their strategy. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know your next move. They don't know if they've affected you. Stoics knew that unpredictability is power, and silence creates mystery. When you don't react, the other person reveals themselves. 5. Silence protects your energy. Every argument drains energy. Every unnecessary explanation drains focus. Every emotional reaction costs mental strength. Stoics valued energy more than ego. They avoided pointless debates. They ignored noise. They saved their strength for things that mattered. Silence is not passive. Silence is strategic conservation of power. 6. Silence and inner confidence. Insecurity needs reassurance. Confidence does not. When you are secure in yourself, you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to announce plans. You don't need to justify choices. You don't need approval. Stoics believed that true confidence is quiet. The loudest people in the room are often the weakest. The calmest are usually the strongest. 7. Silence in conflict. When conflict arises, most people escalate. Stoics de-escalate. Silence during conflict prevents regretful words, stops emotional damage, forces logic over impulse, keeps dignity intact. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every challenge deserves attention. Sometimes silence is the ultimate reply. 8. Silence gives you mental clarity. Noise creates confusion. When you reduce talking, you increase thinking. Stoics spent time in reflection, observing their thoughts, questioning assumptions, refining judgment. Silence allows your mind to sharpen. A quiet mind sees clearly. A noisy mind reacts blindly. 9. Silence and power dynamics. In psychology, silence creates authority. The one who speaks less often controls the pace, holds attention, appears confident, appears dominant. Stoic leaders used silence intentionally. They listened more than they spoke. They observed before acting. They spoke only when words had weight. 10. Silence in relationships. In relationships, over-talking weakens attraction. Silence creates mystery, shows emotional stability, prevents neediness, builds respect. Stoics believed attachment creates suffering. When you don't chase with words, when you don't beg with explanations, when you don't over-communicate emotions, you become emotionally grounded, and that is attractive. 11. Silence and self-respect. When you stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand you, you gain self-respect. Stoics did not waste words on those unwilling to listen. They understood. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Silence is a boundary. 12. Silence as discipline. Silence is a form of self-discipline. It teaches patience, control, awareness, restraint. Stoics trained themselves to speak only when necessary. They believed words should serve purpose, not emotion. 13. Silence and observation. When you talk less, you see more. You notice body language, tone changes, inconsistencies, hidden motives. Silence turns you into an observer rather than a participant in chaos. This awareness gives strategic advantage. 14. Silence in failure and success. Stoics advise silence in both loss and victory. In failure, silence helps reflection instead of self-pity. In success, silence prevents ego and arrogance. Remaining quiet keeps you balanced in all outcomes. 15. Silence and ego death. Ego wants recognition. Silence weakens ego. Stoics practiced humility. They didn't announce achievements. They didn't seek praise. They didn't compete for attention. They focused on character, not image. 16. When to speak. Stoicism does not teach permanent silence. It teaches intentional speech. Speak when words add value. Truth is needed. Guidance is required. Justice is at stake. Otherwise, silence is strength. 17. Daily Stoic silence practices. Pause before responding. Speak only after thinking. Avoid emotional replies. Reduce unnecessary conversation. Listen more than you talk. Observe reactions. Over time, silence becomes natural confidence. 18. Why silent people are feared. People fear what they cannot read. Silence creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates respect. When people don't know your thoughts, they assume depth, intelligence, and control. 19. Silence and inner peace. The quieter your outer world, the calmer your inner world. Stoics believed peace comes from reducing unnecessary noise, external and internal. Silence aligns you with yourself. 20. Final Stoic truth. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to explain every action. You don't need to respond to every comment. Sometimes the strongest move is no move. Sometimes silence says everything. Conclusion. Silence is not emptiness. It is presence. It is confidence without noise, strength without aggression, power without force. In a world addicted to noise, be the calm, because the one who masters silence masters themselves, and the one who masters themselves cannot be controlled.